So in this video we're going to look at how to use the Alde heating and hot water system control panel. It's very simple. You typically just fire it up by pressing the button like this and it will bring up the splash screen with the software version, and then you'll end up on a home screen that will look something like this. This is telling us that at the moment nothing's really happening. The internal temperature is currently 23 degrees and the panel recognises the mains electric is plugged in, so we do have mains electric as an energy source. Now to use, all we then need to do is press the menu button down here and you'll be greeted with something that will look like this. This is where we now turn things on and off. Now I won't go from the top down, I'm going to go from the bottom up, strangely, but that's because the first two here we have our options to choose the energy source by which we're going to power the system. So we're either going to use electric or we're going to use gas, and you can use combinations of both. So the gas is turned on or off down here, as you can see. So if I wanted to turn the gas on, I will press on there, and that will allow gas to be an option for powering your heating and hot water. And I can turn it off by pressing the off button. Some systems don't have an on or off toggle, they just have a singular button that toggles on or off, but it will do the same function. Electrically, we can choose different wattages. We have off, then we have 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt and 3 kilowatt, of course increasing in power as you go. Now as soon as you have turned on an energy source here, you've effectively turned on the system. At the top here we have your internal temperature, the ideal target. This is like your thermostat. So I'm saying I want to achieve 26 degrees in here, okay? And if you have an energy source selected, the system will start working. Below it, where you see this shower head icon, this is your hot water system. And when it's off, some systems allow you to turn it off, which will allow you to have a completely blank or hollow triangle. This is currently half coloured in, as you can see, which means it's going to be low temperature, and then you can actually increase that to fully coloured in, which means it's on the highest temperature. Okay, so this system just goes between 1 or 2. The hot water is always going to be on in this case, but some allow you to actually turn the hot water off. Okay, so that would now be the system using mains electric only on 1 kilowatt with the target temperature of 26 degrees and the hot water on the low temperature. And that's essentially the basics of the system. Now there are some settings that you can play with in here. Lots of different things that you can configure in here. Some very handy things. For example, this, I believe, this symbol at the bottom here with the red X is an antimicrobial option that will fire the heating up in the early hours of the morning to essentially kill any anything that is forming in your hot water boiler. As a result of obviously being a hot water tank, it can start growing microbial life if left for too long at those sort of temperatures. So this will boil your tank essentially almost and kill off that microbial life. So that's a setting you can turn on. Lots of very useful things like that, as well as various other settings like brightness, the language and all that sort of stuff. Now this is the kind of thing I would say refer to the manual for, because there's lots of different options and it does depend on your version of the Alde panel as to which options you will have and which ones you won't. These are the common functions and way to operate your system, and so that's all I'll show you in the video here today, but hopefully that's made sense. Now to turn the system off, you can just essentially turn off the energy selection, and that means there's no energy source going to the system. It will turn things off, but what you should then really do is just press the power button here and that should turn off the entire system with the panel going dark. And there we go, that's your Alde heating and hot water system.